When did your parents try to control your life like you were still a kid? You know that weird sinking feeling when your phone rings, and before even checking the screen, you already know it's your mom and you already feel guilty for whatever you haven't even done yet? Yeah, that's been my whole life. I used to joke that my mom didn't raise me, she programmed me. From the clothes I wore to the people I talked to, everything had to fit her definition of perfect. I thought it was normal. Every decision I made had to go through her invisible filter of approval. How I looked, who I dated, where I worked, even what I posted online. My dad wasn't much help either. He'd just shrug and say, "You know how your mom gets." He was the classic peacekeeper, the quiet guy who avoided conflict, which basically meant he let her control everything while pretending to stay neutral. Growing up, I never questioned it. When my friends got grounded, I envied them because at least their parents' rules had limits. Mine didn't. My mom's control wasn't about punishment, it was about perfection. "You're our reflection, Maya," she'd say, smiling like it was a compliment. "We just want you to represent the family well." Translation: don't embarrass us, don't be different, don't have a life we can't approve of. By 24, I felt like a walking resume designed to impress other people. My mom had already planned my life out. Marry a nice boy from our church, stay close to home, maybe work part-time until I had kids. That was the version of me she built in her head, the one who always said yes. But the real me was suffocating. I wanted to design, travel, meet people, live without permission. When I met Eli, everything changed. He wasn't loud or rebellious or anything like that, he was just calm. He saw me, the me without the family label. I didn't have to perform around him. For the first time, I felt like I could breathe. He encouraged me to take the job offer in Chicago, a graphic design position I'd dreamed about for years. I was terrified to tell my parents. When I did, my mom's face fell like I told her I joined a cult. "Chicago? Maya, you'll be alone there. It's not safe. What if something happens to you?" she said, her voice breaking just enough to make me feel like a monster. That was her weapon. Emotional guilt. She didn't yell, she didn't forbid me. She made me feel like choosing my own life was the same as abandoning her. My dad tried to mediate, but it was pointless. The next day, she sent me a care package with pepper spray, vitamins, and a Bible verse about honoring your parents, and a note that said, "Don't forget who raised you." When I finally moved, I thought I was free. For the first time, I had my own space, my own money, my own rhythm, but even miles away, my mom found ways to keep her hands on my life. She'd call every morning, text every night, and if I didn't respond fast enough, she'd start sending guilt bombs. "I guess you're too busy for your family now," or "We're just worried. You know how dangerous cities can be." At first, I brushed it off as typical mom stuff. But then came the requests. She wanted me to share my location just for emergencies. She wanted me to send photos of my apartment so we can make sure it's safe. She'd call Eli to check on me if I didn't pick up. It wasn't love. It was surveillance dressed as concern. Still, I told myself she'd calm down eventually, that she'd learn to let go. I was wrong. Every time I set a boundary, she found a new way to cross it. When Eli and I started talking about getting engaged, I remember feeling pure joy, like maybe my life was finally mine. But that's the moment everything started spiraling. The day Eli proposed, I called my mom right after. I was expecting happy tears, maybe a squeal. Instead, there was a pause. Then she said flatly, "You're rushing this." I laughed, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. "Maya, you barely know him. Marriage is serious. He doesn't understand our family's values." She said, "Our family," like it was a country, and Eli was an outsider trying to invade it. That night, she called again. "Please don't make any decisions until we can talk in person," she said softly, almost pleading. And because I'm me, the version of me they built, I agreed. That's how it's always been, their emotions first, my life second. Eli noticed the change almost immediately. "You don't owe them every piece of you, you know," he told me, "but it's hard to unlearn a lifetime of obedience." I'd been taught that disappointing my mom was the same as betraying her. Still, for once, I wanted to be selfish. So I started planning the wedding my way, or at least I tried. The first sign of trouble was the dress. My mom hated the one I picked. "It's too modern," she said, "too revealing. What will people think?" Then came the venue. She wanted it back in our hometown church, 3 states away. "Family tradition," she said. I tried reasoning with her, but she twisted it. "I just thought you'd want your grandparents to be there." Guess not. Every decision turned into a test of loyalty. The more I pushed back, the more she pulled me in emotionally. And somewhere deep down, a part of me still wanted her approval, still wanted to make her proud. I just didn't realize yet how far she was willing to go to keep control. Because what started as phone calls and guilt trips was about to turn into something darker, something I didn't even know parents were capable of. And by the time I found out, it was already too late. If you've ever had that one person who smiles while completely destroying your boundaries, you'll understand my mom. After I got engaged, it was like she flipped a switch from loving parent to project manager. Every call was about wedding updates, but not in the fun, Pinterest board kind of way. She wanted control of everything. It started subtle. "Honey, send me your guest list. I just want to make sure you didn't forget anyone from the family." Then it became, "Your cousin Shelby's feelings will be hurt if she's not a bridesmaid." Suddenly, my mom was dictating my bridal party. I remember laughing to Eli like, "She can't actually do that, right?" But then I'd get a text from my dad saying, "You know how your mom gets? Just give her this one." That's what they always said. just give her this one. Like every piece of my life was negotiable. If I just gave her this one thing, she'd finally back off, but she never did. Each time I said yes, she took more. The final straw, or so I thought, was the dress. I had found the one. It was simple, modern, elegant. I felt beautiful, like me. My mom hated it. "It's too modern," she said, her lips tightening like she was holding back disgust. "You'll regret that neckline when you see the photos. Remember, a wedding is forever." When I didn't budge, she started calling every day. Then she called the boutique pretending to be me and canceled the order. I only found out because the manager called to confirm. I was humiliated and furious. When I confronted her, she just sighed. "You'll thank me later." That was the moment I realized. She didn't see me as an adult. She saw me as her property. But Eli, bless him, was the calm to my storm. He'd hold my hand and say, "You're allowed to say no, Maya." Except it wasn't that simple, because when I did say no, she escalated. She started showing up unannounced. One time I came home from work, and she was sitting in my kitchen, smiling like she hadn't just broken into my apartment. "Your spare key was still under the mat, sweetie. You should be more careful." She brought groceries and said she was helping. I didn't even know how to react. I just stood there, frozen between anger and disbelief. After that, I hid my spare key and changed my locks. When I told her, she burst into tears. "You think I'm dangerous?" she said, voice trembling, like I had hurt her. I spent the next 2 days drowning in guilt. That's how she worked. She'd hurt me, then make me feel like the bad guy for defending myself. And then came the part that really messed with my head. I started noticing weird coincidences. My mom would call at odd times, and somehow always know where I was. One day I texted Eli, running late, grabbing coffee first, and 20 minutes later, my mom called and said, "Don't drink so much caffeine before dinner, honey." I froze. I hadn't told her. At first I thought maybe she'd seen something on social media, but my accounts were private. The only other explanation was that she had access to my phone. But how? That night, Eli went through my phone, checking my apps. He's a tech guy, patient, methodical. I sat there on the couch, heart pounding, as he scrolled through settings. "Wait," he said, frowning. "What's this?" There it was. A hidden app disguised as Battery Guardian. It had access to my location, messages, call logs, everything. Installed months ago, around the time my mom had helped me set up a new phone case and screen protector. My stomach dropped. My hands went numb. I felt dirty, violated. This wasn't overprotective parenting. This was surveillance. I called her right then. "Did you install something on my phone?" I demanded. She didn't even deny it. She said, "Maya, we just worry. You don't call as much. We want to make sure you're safe." Safe. That's the word she always used when she wanted to justify control. Safe meant obedient. Safe meant hers. I shouted, "You read my messages. You knew things I never told you." She started crying again. "We're just worried you're being influenced. We can't lose you like this." Lose me, like I was an object she'd misplaced. I hung up shaking. Eli tried to calm me down, but all I could hear was my mom's voice echoing in my head. "We just worry. We can't lose you." Over the next few days, it got worse. My aunt called saying my mom told everyone I was acting erratic and under Eli's control. My cousin texted me, "What's going on? Your mom said Eli's isolating you." She was flipping the narrative. I wasn't being controlled. I was the one being saved. Eli looked at me, his jaw tight, and said, "There's something else you need to know." I could tell by his tone it wasn't good. He told me my mom had called him, not once, 3 times. The first time, she pretended to just chat. The second time, she asked if he was sure he wanted to marry someone so emotionally unstable. The third time, she offered him money, $10,000, to help Maya come to her senses. I remember sitting there in silence, feeling my world tilt. My mom wasn't just spying on me, she was actively trying to destroy my relationship. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the bathroom floor, staring at my reflection. I didn't recognize the person I saw. For years, I'd believed that love meant loyalty, that being a good daughter meant understanding, forgiving, compromising. But this wasn't love. This was control wearing a mother's face. And I finally realized something that would change everything. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of me leaving. And I was finally ready to go. You know that feeling when you think things can't possibly get worse, and then the universe laughs? That was me the week after I found out my mom had been spying on me. I'd already deleted the tracking app, changed my passwords, blocked her number, but somehow, she still found ways to worm her way into my life. It started small. A letter slipped under my apartment door. No envelope, just paper. Her handwriting, "We forgive you. Come home when you're ready." Forgive me? For what? For protecting myself? For existing outside her control? Then my coworkers started acting weird. My boss called me in, saying he'd received an email from someone claiming to be a concerned family member, warning that I was under emotional distress and missing deadlines. My heart dropped. My mother had emailed my job. She was trying to make me look unstable. I walked out of that meeting trembling. I called Eli and he came right away. He hugged me, told me we'd handle it, that maybe we could send a cease and desist letter. But deep down, I knew, you can't reason with people who think they own you. That night, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something in me Maybe that old guilt made me answer. It was my dad. His voice was softer than I remembered, like he was trying to be the good guy. Maya, honey, your mom's really upset. She says you're shutting us out. Dad, I said. She's spying on me, lying about me, trying to pay my fiancé to leave me. What part of that sounds okay to you? He went quiet. For a second, I thought maybe he was finally listening. But then he sighed and said, you know how your mom gets? She just loves you too much. Too much. That phrase hit me like a slap. I'd spent my entire childhood hearing that. She just loves you too much. As if love and control were the same thing. I hung up. I couldn't do it anymore. I told Eli I wanted to go no contact, block her, him, everyone. But the next morning, something new happened. Eli's mom called him. Apparently my mom had found her on Facebook and sent her a long message about how Eli is manipulating Maya and isolating her from her family. She even attached screenshots of texts she'd taken before I deleted the tracking app. Private messages, conversations she had no right to read. That's when the anger finally broke through the fear. I wasn't scared anymore. I was furious. I wanted to confront her face to face. Eli begged me not to, said it would only make things worse. But I couldn't live another day being painted as the villain in her story. So I drove to my parents' house, alone. The moment I walked in, my mom was standing in the kitchen, arms crossed like she'd been waiting. You came home? She said softly, smiling, that fake sweet smile I'd seen 1,000 times before. I didn't even take off my coat. Did you really offer Eli money to break up with me? Her smile faltered for a split second. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, honey, I was just testing him. I needed to know if he really loved you. By bribing him? I snapped. By violating my privacy? By ruining my job? Her voice sharpened. We did what we had to do. You're not thinking clearly. You've been manipulated. You're not the same sweet girl you used to be. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. I'm not supposed to be that girl. I grew up. You just can't stand it. She slammed her hand on the counter. You will not talk to me like that in my house. Something inside me cracked. I said, then it's a good thing I don't live here anymore. Her face twisted. Anger, grief, disbelief, like she couldn't process that her control was slipping. My dad appeared in the doorway, trying to calm her down. Please, both of you. But my mom pointed at me and shouted, you're not well. You're throwing your life away because of him. You'll regret this. And then she said something that made my blood run cold. If you keep pushing us away, Maya, we'll make sure everyone knows the truth about what you've become. What I've become, I asked, my voice shaking. She leaned forward, eyes blazing. Ungrateful, disrespectful, delusional. You think people will side with you? They'll see what he's done to you. We'll tell everyone. I took a step back. You already have, I whispered. The silence that followed was heavy. I could hear my dad breathing behind her, but he said nothing. He never said anything. I walked out. My hands were trembling so bad I almost dropped my keys. When I got into my car, I looked back through the windshield and saw my mom standing at the window, watching me drive away. I knew then that she wasn't just angry, she was dangerous. That night, Eli and I decided to go to the police. We filed a report for harassment and digital invasion of privacy. The officer was sympathetic but realistic, said it would take time, that most cases like this ended up being family matters. Family matters, that phrase made me want to scream. This wasn't family, this was obsession. As we drove home, I stared out the window, shaking, realizing I was fighting a war against the very people who were supposed to protect me. And somehow, deep down, I already knew they weren't done yet. Because people like my mother don't stop when you pull away. They stop when there's nothing left to control. And I was finally done being her puppet. You ever have that gut feeling that someone's watching you, even when you're alone? That was my life after confronting my mom. I deleted everything, changed passwords, moved apartments, yet somehow I still felt eyes on me. It wasn't paranoia, it was experience. Because every time I thought I was free, she found a new way to pull me back in. 3 nights after filing that police report, my car alarm went off at 2:14 a.m. Eli and I ran outside. Nothing was broken, nothing stolen, but there, tucked under the windshield wiper, was another letter. Same handwriting. You can't hide from family forever. No signature, no address, just that. I wanted to believe maybe it was a coincidence. But who else would do that? Who else would know where we lived? Eli wanted to call the police again, but I stopped him. I was tired of being reactive. I wanted answers. I needed proof. So I did something I'd never thought I'd do. I started tracking her. I bought a small GPS tracker online, one that could attach magnetically under a car. Eli didn't love the idea, but he understood. My mom had crossed every line. If I was going to have any peace, I needed to know what she was planning. A few days later, she showed up at my job, unannounced, like nothing had happened. I saw her through the front glass doors, standing there in her pale blue cardigan, holding a tray of cookies like it was bring your daughter to work day. My stomach dropped. I told my boss I'd handle it. When I stepped outside, she smiled that same fake, practiced smile. I just wanted to talk, she said. I told you not to come here. I snapped. You're harassing me. Her voice went soft, almost rehearsed. I'm worried about you, honey. You've cut us out, you've changed. We just want our daughter back. Your daughter isn't a child anymore, I said, and if you don't leave, I'll have you removed. Her eyes flashed with something dark. Rage, fear, something I couldn't name. You're making a mistake, Maya. You'll regret pushing us away. I didn't reply. I just turned and walked inside, heart pounding, hands shaking. She left at least for now. That night, Eli helped me slip the tracker under her car when we knew she was home. It felt wrong, but she'd forced my hand. For once, I wanted the truth. For 2 days, nothing. Then the signal moved to a private investigator's office on the other side of town. I remember staring at the screen, barely breathing. Why would my mom be visiting a PI? Unless she'd hired someone to follow me. I felt my throat close. She wasn't just stalking me herself. She'd outsourced it. I drove to the PI's office that afternoon. The building was this run-down one-story place, all tinted windows and peeling paint. I walked in pretending to be a client. Hi, I'm looking for Mr. Pierce, I said, reading the name from the door. The receptionist hesitated, said he was out, but I could see his jacket on the chair in the back office. So, I slipped my card onto the desk and smiled. Tell him Maya stopped by. He'll know who I am. I was bluffing, but it worked. 10 minutes later, I got a text. Unknown number. Stop following me. You're not ready for what you'll find. It wasn't from my mom. It wasn't from the PI. I checked the area code. It matched my hometown. I felt my blood run cold. That night, Eli and I scoured everything, changed locks, installed cameras, turned off every GPS setting. But deep down, I knew none of that mattered, because if my mom had gone this far, she wouldn't stop at digital tracking or drive-by notes. She'd go for something bigger, something permanent. The next morning, I woke up to a knock at the door. I peeked through the peephole and froze. 2 police officers stood outside. When I opened the door, one said, "Ma'am, are you Maya Reynolds?" I nodded. "Your mother filed a missing person report on you," he said. "She claims you've been kidnapped by your fiancé." I laughed, thinking it had to be a joke, but they were serious. She'd reported me missing and blamed Eli. They questioned him right there in the living room, made him hand over his ID, even checked the bedroom. When they realized I was fine, they apologized, but the damage was done. My mom had weaponized the system. After they left, I just sat on the couch, shaking. "She's trying to destroy us," I whispered. Eli nodded slowly. "Then it's time we destroy her lies." He opened his laptop and said, "We're going public. Everything, emails, messages, screenshots. If she wants a war, we'll end it in daylight." And as terrifying as it was, I agreed, because I finally understood my mother wasn't trying to protect me. She was trying to erase me. And this time, I wasn't going to let her. You ever reach that point where you stop being scared? Not because you're brave, but because you're done being afraid? That's where I was. After everything, the spying, the manipulation, the fake missing person report, something inside me just broke. Or maybe it woke up. That night, Eli and I sat down at our kitchen table with my laptop between us. Every file, every screenshot, every piece of proof. I dumped it all into a single folder named For the Record. The tracking app logs, the bribery texts, even the messages she sent to relatives calling me mentally unstable. Eli suggested going to the police again, but I shook my head. "No," I said. "This isn't about protection anymore. This is about truth." So I did something my mom never expected. I told my story publicly. I wrote everything down in a Reddit post under an anonymous account. I didn't name her, didn't dox her, but I made it real. The post went viral within hours. Thousands of comments, people saying, "This was my mom too. You're not alone. You're brave for cutting her off." For the first time, I didn't feel crazy. I felt seen. 2 days later, my mom called from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was shaking with anger and tears. "How dare you make me look like a monster, Maya? I'm your mother. You've embarrassed this family. People are calling us. Your father can't even show his face at work." I listened once, then deleted it. No response. No more explaining myself to someone who would twist every word. But she didn't stop. She showed up again, this time at Eli's parents' house, pretending she wanted to apologize. His mom called me immediately, her voice trembling. "Maya, she's here on the porch. She's crying and saying you're in danger." Eli and I drove straight there. My mom was standing in the driveway, mascara streaked, clutching a photo album. She held it out when I stepped out of the car. "Do you even remember this, Maya?" she cried. "You used to be so sweet, so loving. What happened to my little girl?" I looked her dead in the eye. She grew up. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Her face twisted, voice rising. "You think you're so independent? You'll come crawling back. Everyone always does." That's when Eli stepped forward, calm but firm. "You need to leave. Now. Or we're calling the cops." Her lip trembled, but this time she didn't argue. She just dropped the album on the ground and walked to her car. I'll never forget that sound. The door slamming, her engine starting, and then silence. A week later, we got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was one photo, me as a child, sitting on my mom's lap. On the back, she'd written, "You'll always be mine." I burned it, right there on our patio, watched the flames curl the edges until it turned to ash, and as I did, I felt this strange mix of grief and relief, like I was mourning someone who died long ago, but finally accepting it. I started therapy again, more consistently this time. My therapist said something that stuck with me. You can love someone and still choose not to let them hurt you. And that became my mantra. Months passed. I changed my number, deleted social media, and legally enforced the restraining order. The silence was eerie at first. No calls, no guilt trips, no fake concern, but slowly, that silence became peace. Then, one morning, I got an email from an unknown address. The subject line, "I'm sorry." It was from my dad. He said he'd left my mom, that he'd seen what she'd done and couldn't keep defending it. He wanted to rebuild something, maybe not as family, but as people who could heal separately. I didn't respond immediately. I just sat there, reading it over and over, realizing that maybe not all the pieces had to stay broken. I'm still in therapy. I still flinch when my phone pings unexpectedly, but I'm getting better, stronger, freer. And if you asked me what I'd tell anyone stuck in the same cycle, it's this. You don't owe your parents your sanity. You don't owe them access to your peace. The last time I saw my mom, she was standing in her car's rearview mirror, shrinking in the distance. For once, she wasn't the one watching me. I was watching her fade away. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was finally truly free. It's been 8 months since I burned that photo. I live in a new apartment now, bright, quiet, filled with plants that actually stay alive. Eli and I are planning a small wedding, just us and a few close friends. No guest list wars, no manipulation, just peace. Sometimes I still catch myself checking my phone, half expecting a message from her, but it never comes. And in that silence, I've learned something beautiful. Freedom isn't loud, it's calm, it's choosing yourself, every single day without needing anyone's permission.